everyone. My name is Pastor Sam. I am the formations pastor at Common Ground Northeast. Welcome and thank you for joining us on our Sunday online service today. If you don't know, and if you haven't been with us, we have canceled all of our on-campus meetings until after May 6th. Yes, that also means we'll be missing our Easter service and all the stuff we were planning for that weekend. However, from that, there are actually some really cool creative Easter festivities in the works right now, and some ideas coming out. And so I'm really excited to be sharing that with you here in the next couple of weeks. We also have resources for our kids and our youth, along with other resources on our website. So make sure you check that out. Our main heart and goal is we want to empower everyone to go be the church in their homes and in their communities. And so you as the family, these resources are to help you disciple your kids and your youth, along with being the church within your community. So make sure you're checking out those resources, and we hope that those are a benefit to you. Many people are continuing to connect via video chat, and even house churches are continuing to connect through social media and video chat platforms. We want to encourage you guys to continue to do that. In this period of isolation, the best thing we can do is try to stay connected the best we can. And there's something about still a face-to-face that is refreshing. So continue to do that, as well as reach out to neighbors in healthy ways in your neighborhood to see how they're doing. If you need help with setting up a video chat or different ways to engage, again, check out our House to House page on our website. We give some tutorials on different ways to do that. If you are in need, or if you're willing to help those in need in any way, shape, or form, we definitely want to hear from you. So email office@cgnortheast.org. That's office@cgnortheast.org to let us know. We'll do our best to facilitate any of the type of needs that come in. There will be a page and link available for different ways to connect within the community and other organizations that are doing some great things too at the end of this message today. So make sure you check out that link for other ways to get involved as well. I have one main announcement for all of you, and many of you will be excited about this. At this point, we are still planning a VBS for this summer. Registration is open now. And so if you are interested, make sure to sign your kids up for VBS this summer. If any of this stuff changes, we will definitely let you know. So this Sunday is actually Engagement Sunday. Once a quarter, we take a Sunday to highlight partners that CGNE as a whole supports. And today we are highlighting a new partner for 2020. If you were with us during the Advent season, we actually participated in a redistribute initiative, asking for all of us to go way above and beyond in our generosity and our giving. CGNE definitely did just that, raising enough money to not just bless our existing partners above and beyond, but also raise enough support additionally to support a new partner for an entire year. And so today, we are actually sharing an interview that I had with this new partner, the Fadley family, and their work that they are doing with Cru. So check it out and let it bless you. So we are with the Fadleys. Why don't you give us a short introduction of your family? Who are you guys and who's all involved?
Yeah, so I'm Kyle.
And I'm Rachel.
And on our sleep monitor right there, sleeping away is our little one, Adeline. She is 19 months.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Yeah, 19 months old, and yeah, just the little ball of joy. So she's full of energy.
She's feisty.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
That's awesome. And you guys are members of Common Ground, correct?
Yes. Yep. Members of Common Ground. Yeah.
So how did you guys end up at Common Ground?
Yeah. So we knew we were going to be moving to Indianapolis last year. And probably springtime, about a year ago, I just started Googling churches in the Indianapolis area, and Common Ground popped up. So we clicked on the website, gave it a good skim, and we were like, we like the way this sounds. So it was the first time we visited a church in Indy. once we moved here was you guys, or us now.
And honestly, we felt like from the very first Sunday coming, we felt like God had prepared common ground for us. Is how it felt. I mean, that sounds a little like, but it's true. We felt so welcomed and really felt like a part of the family from the first Sunday we were there. And even more than that, as we continued to come, we saw in the church, it almost felt like common ground was a couple steps ahead. They were walking on a, let me say that again. It felt like as we were coming to common ground more often, it felt like they were walking the same path. Common ground was walking the same path that we had been walking, with both we felt a strong commitment to the Great Commission and wanting people to hear about Jesus, but also kind of what Eric talked about a couple of weeks ago, that willing to talk about anything kind of feel. The first week we came was a Jesus and mental health sermon, and even just the fact that was highlighted as sermon series was so huge for us. It was such an attractive thing. And then finding out too that Common Ground was passionate about racial reconciliation was huge for us. Honestly, I think we hadn't really looked for a church that had that because we didn't expect to find it. And so it just felt like this really God-ordained thing.
Yeah, I think specifically with racial reconciliation, we're from Cleveland, and we talked about racial reconciliation almost daily with our coworkers, and it was very much a message up front in our church. In our community, we were actually the minorities. We were in a predominantly ethnic diverse community, and so we were nervous coming to Indy. We were like, are we going to be able to find people who are willing to talk about these things still? Are we going to have to be the ones doing the forward facing initiative of it? And I think it felt relieving and exciting that we weren't the only people who have started having this conversation, and we weren't the only learners. So
yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Well, thanks for that. We're glad to have you guys. It's been fun to get to know you guys, and you guys jumped right in to serving right away. And so it was cool to see man, these guys are about it. And one thing I know about Common Ground since I've been there has been that people that are about it want to jump in and actually be the church rather than talk about it. And so glad to have you guys part of the family.
Yeah.
So you guys are a part of Cru, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Can you guys describe a little bit about what Cru is, how you guys got involved?
Yes. So both of us actually had very transformative experiences with Cru in college. I would say that's where I became a believer. And through that, it just changed our lives. And we just kind of continued on after college. So it's been a little over 7.5 years for me and 6.5 for Kyle. And yeah, Cru, we are a community that really cares about people, and we're passionate about people knowing Jesus. So the heart of who we are is doing evangelism and discipleship, but really we want to see every person take the next step towards Jesus. So whether that's learning about him for the first time, or growing in a relationship with him, or figuring out how to multiply their own lives. How can people walk with Jesus for a lifetime and continue to build into the church after they leave college? So our particular ministry, we work with college students or for the ministry of college students.
Yeah.
So is Cru just specifically college, or what does the organization of Cru cover? Because we do have somebody else in Cru at Common Ground as well, in the Pauls.
Yes.
But just describe for anybody who may not know Cru, what does that entail?
Yeah, so Cru started as a campus ministry, I think in 1951, but now there's ministries all over the place. So there's a family ministry called Family Life. There's a military ministry connected to us, Cru Military, um, and man, they're like
There's dozens
yeah,
of
there's lots
ministries
of
now.
ministries. We are connected with the campus ministry, which campus ministry does includes high school, college students and faculty, but we focus on college campuses. It's kind of our focus. Yeah.
Gotcha. Is there a specific college campus here in Indy that you guys focus on, or is it all of them?
So I'm personally on the Indy Metro team, and the two biggest schools that we have the most involved students on is Butler and IUPUI. I am at IUPUI, but we also have ministry going on at Ivy Tech and Marion and U Indy. So all of the movements look a little different, but that's where we have most of our connections currently.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay. And Kyle, you have a unique role, correct?
Yeah, so I am on a team called the Innovation Lab, which is in Cru's Research and Development Department. And so our job is to think outside the box to bring new tools and resources into the hands of people like Rachel. So, and not just people like Rachel who are on staff with Cru, but also we're thinking about volunteers and churches and college students who want to share their faith. We want to get tools into their hands.
So essentially, you're working on that equipping piece of how do we equip people to equip others?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're working on that equipping piece. And actually, one of the things there in service couple, maybe a month ago or so, during the Acts series, Eric talked about the idea of having like, the gospel is sort of the water in a water bottle, right? Where the water doesn't change, but depending on what container it's in, it changes shape and form to match the container, which was really the audience, the culture that it's finding itself in. And that's, I think, a lot of the work that we're focusing on right now is helping the message of the gospel be relevant to this next generation and in this really different cultural moment that we're in right
Gotcha. Oh, that's really cool. So based on what you know of like Common Ground and the nature of your jobs now and like your specific roles, we've through Redistribute, we were able to raise funds to take on at least a partner for 1 year, which we extended to you guys. How do you guys, first of all, like, thank you for your work, and we hope that that is a support to you. How do you feel like what you guys are doing, the essence of Cru, and then the DNA of Common Ground really intersect and can encourage one another?
now? Well, I think the first thing is that like we said from the very beginning, we felt Common Ground's commitment to the Great Commission and being the church, both in like loving people, but also sharing their story and helping people move towards Jesus. So that I think is probably the biggest thing. The next thing is that we really care about the next generation. We don't want to just try to bring the next generation into our previous generation's version of Christianity, but we want them to experience Jesus for them. And that even sounded weird. That we want the next generation to experience Jesus unfiltered, like just who he is and his message for them. And I mean it, like Common Ground, we are literally like making the next generation, like literally making, we have the next generation in our pews, in our chairs. And so, so I think that we share that commitment for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think that feels like we're in sync is continuing to platform and elevate ministry towards racial reconciliation and ethnic minorities. In Cru, one of the tools that our previous team worked on was specifically to engage in racial reconciliation conversations on campus. And I think like when we leave Common Ground, it feels like we're leaving having those conversations. And when I go to campus, my hope is to engage in those same conversations. And so I think that very much feels like we meet each other, like we are on the same page. Our hope and intention is the same. And yeah,
And I was just going to say, and Cru as a whole really values that conversation. I think,
yeah,
as like pretty soon after we joined staff, we have heard Cru.
When did you guys join staff?
we had intern years, but we officially joined the summer of 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, pretty soon after that, we have heard Cru talk a lot about racial reconciliation and really trying to start a process of learning for us, of learning more about it. I know that, I mean, even just like the Cru's sort of, giving me opportunities and encouraging us to do that was really the first time that I was opened to that idea. It's honestly just something I hadn't really thought that much about before conversations in a Cru context. And I think for them, it's both I remember hearing Dwayne talk about this and it really resonated with me that it's both a Great Commission issue. It's like, if we're really going to reach every student, every person in our country, in our sphere, then we have to engage in these kind of conversations. But also just from a standpoint of, I think Cru wants to create Jesus-centered disciples. And I think it's something that Jesus cared about. So yeah, we want to do that. So.
Cool.
Yeah. And then another thing I'll add here, I actually so appreciate when Eric gives us homework in the sermons and he sends us with challenges. I think a lot of times since we're in full-time ministry, a lot of people have looked at us and said like, oh, like I could never do what you do. Like, I don't know how to have spiritual conversations with people. And we've literally left church services at Common Ground where the goal has been to start a spiritual conversation with someone. And that's just encouraging because that's what we're trying to engage our students in. Currently right now at IUPUI, we have something called the Top 5 where every student has 5 people in mind that they want to engage in spiritual conversations with. And each week we send out an email with another new challenge on how can I engage in a conversation with one of those 5 people. And so I think it's cool to see like Common Ground makes those same steps and are having those same movements. How can we be engaging in those conversations? So, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for sharing all that, guys. It sounds like you guys are trying to equip and empower the next generation, which is awesome. I love that. It also sounds like Cru has been having the talks of racial reconciliation and trying to infiltrate that and change perspectives and minds for quite a while now. Saying even whenever you just joined staff, it was 2014, 6 years ago, that they'd been moving in that way. So that's cool to hear. And glad that we're kind of having those conversations as a church and within your spheres and trying to implement that with your youth. That's awesome. So cool. To wrap up here, how in this time, which is crazy, I know, but how in this time could we best love and support you guys moving forward? And is there anything specific that you guys are working on that either we can be a help for or even just a prayer warrior for?
I mean, you could absolutely be praying for several things. A lot of our students they're all going home to different different life and family situations while they're continuing to do school. And for some of them, it's really lonely. And I think just praying for their adjustment. I think the seniors, especially, were grieving a significant time period in their lives that has just been kind of ripped away. And so we're trying to figure out how to walk through that with them and also help them continue to walk well with the Lord and offer community all virtually. So prayers for that, for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think you can pray for, there's a lot of staff members and student volunteers and partners that are trying to think through how do we continue to engage people in spiritual conversations through this kind of all digital season of our life. And I'm just an encouragement of praise in that is that we've seen, I think the most recent number I saw is over 90 people come to Christ since we've been in this kind of all digital place. And so we've seen fruit nationally, but there's still people figuring these things out. And so I think you could just pray for us, even just to follow God's wisdom. It's so, I feel this pulls so much to when the times change. It's so easy to just say, okay, let me just find the first thing that I think of and just run with it and try that, you know? But I think just to really pray for us to listen to God's voice and hear what he wants us to do, I think would be huge. Yeah. So, and in terms of practical kind of tangible ways to do that, our ministry is funded through people who partner with us. That's what Common Ground is a part of that. But there's a lot of individuals who give to our ministry, and so we would love to, anyone that's would be interested in talking to us about that. There is need. The more partners that we have, there are more things that we can do. And so we'd love to talk to anyone about that. It feels like God might be putting that on their hearts. And there's a specific kind of practical need. And so this might be, I'm going to pause here. Sam, I'm going to say something, and then if you want to like cut it out, you're welcome to do that. Okay. I did not talk to Rachel about this, so she doesn't. So don't. This is not her doing.
Okay.
But so a practical need that actually my team has right now, we're working on a video to explain the gospel through Romans chapter 6, verse 23. And in order to make that video, we want to record someone drawing, like on a screen, drawing out some designs. So in order to do that, we really need an iPad with the Apple Pencil kind of thing to make that happen. And we currently don't have that. So if anyone has an iPad that they'd be willing to donate or for us to use, that would be super helpful.
Okay. I can definitely just like add that to potential needs. One other thing I was going to ask you guys, and I can add this to like the sending message at the end. So that's all cool. If people want to stay up to date and in contact with you guys or reach out to you guys and support in some way, shape, or form, what's the best way to follow you, get in contact with you?
Yeah, so I actually, I'll send you a link to include at the bottom. So we'll kind of do our message and mention that in there, but.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, email and phone number too. I mean, anyone who wants, like, because we have a prayer letter we send out monthly, and so if people want up to date on our ministry, like individual stories and projects we're working on, will be updated in there, as well as needs get communicated in there too.
Yeah.
So
I'll try to do a little acted out message.
Okay.
Yeah. So if people are interested in hearing more about our ministry, we regularly communicate with people and send out prayer requests ongoing. And so if you want that, we'll include our contact information as well as a link to just enter your email and sign up for that. We'll include that below.
Okay. What I wrote down, if you guys could give me your contacts, those links, and include your email. You guys do like a newsletter too, all that stuff. And then if there are like specific immediate needs that people could at least like get a sparked interest on, I'll add that at the bottom. And all I could say is like, hey, if you guys are willing to continue, or if you guys want to stay up to date with them, know what they're doing, and even know, specific needs they might have right now, check out this stuff. And even at the bottom, if you wanted to put like, iPad design, something or other like that, then they could reach out and say, hey, what did you guys need there? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is there anything you need?
That I need?
Yeah.
Like my team. It's so interesting. So if we weren't in a quarantine situation, I would have said childcare. But we are, life is different now. So, but actually, like when the fall comes around, assuming that life has returned back to normal, we have signed Addie up for daycare 1 day a week. But it would be helpful to have a second day with her in childcare of some sort, whether that's signing her up for more daycare or having somebody take her. So that's, I feel like that's a big thing. That's a big ask though. So we also did not talk about that. So
Noted.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, we feel so loved by Common Ground. Literally, we cried when you called us and said that you guys are taking us on as partners. I just think we feel so cared for and known, and to feel like we're part of the family already just feels incredible. And so know that like we feel super cared for, so cared for, and we really love being here.
Yeah.
So
good.
Absolutely.
Glad to have you guys here for sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. If there's one thing that you would encourage all of Common Ground in this season right now, what would you say? And maybe you just said it.
Oh, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's just that I would encourage all of Common Ground to just continue to follow God's voice and be uniquely who He's made us to be as a community. Even though Common Ground enters into a lot of, what some people would call hot topics or sort of the things of the moment, I don't think that ever happens because it's sort of the topic right now, right? Feels like we are regularly entering into these things because God's called us into that. And so I think that in this moment, it can be easy to leave that behind and start to decide what we want to do. But I would encourage us all to listen to God. Yeah.
Hey, Common Ground Northeast, this is Pastor Eric. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Engagement Sunday. During the last Christmas season, we used our Redistribute initiative to help raise additional support for those who might be in need. Seasons like this will likely reveal some other needs in the midst of our congregation and those outside that we might want to serve. What I love about Common Ground Northeast is that even in the last week, I've had multiple people emailing me and texting me, asking how they can help out financially, how they might be able to use the funds that the government is giving us if they don't need it directly, and ways that we might be able to volunteer. And it just goes to show that as a church, as a community, we still believe there is enough. And so we want to enter into another season of redistributing what God has given us so that we can give it out to those who are in need. On our website, you will find a service opportunities page. on that, we want to help encourage you to check it out and to see where you might be able to participate in relieving people with food needs. Right now, one of our elders, Charlie, is helping out with Joshua Stone King in an effort to help relieve people who have some high food needs right now. The hope is to be able to feed 500 people a day every single week in the next following weeks. If you go to our site, you're going to see a button that will help you give to that, and we want to encourage you to check that out. In addition to that, we're also collecting basic foods to meet needs right on our campus. So if you're willing to pick up a couple of non-perishable items, extra things while you're out shopping for your own family, canned foods, pasta, beans, things like that, you can now begin dropping those things off at Common Ground Northeast. Since we're not always to be there on site, we actually have a weatherproof box underneath the awning at the entryway that you can drop your items in. We're going to try to check that regularly so that we can grab those things, pull them inside, and store them for when people need those things, and we'll be able to redistribute them out. Likewise, if you or someone you know is in need of some basic food items like the ones I mentioned, please contact us at office@cgnortheast.org. That email again is office@cgnortheast.org, so we can coordinate our efforts and be able to get those out to whoever needs it. Anonymity will be valued, so if that's a concern for you, we want to make sure that you can get whatever you need without too much worry. Together, we believe that we can redistribute the resources given to us that might benefit those who are in need. Thanks again for tuning in today, and we commission you out like we commission every single Sunday, that you go be the church in your neighborhoods, in your homes, be the light of Christ and the blessing of Jesus Christ to all who God might bring into your path. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, all God's people said, amen.